Gaza wakes up to another day of smoke and fire. Streets are broken, homes are gone, and families are running with nowhere safe to go. In Israel, the fear of rockets and the pain of hostages still hang in the air. 2 years of war and still no end in sight. But behind the chaos, something unexpected has happened. Out of all people, it's Donald Trump who steps into the war with what he calls a big deal for peace, a plan with 20 points that could stop the fighting, rebuild Gaza, and change the map of power in the Middle East. Netanyahu says yes, some world leaders say maybe, and Hamas, they are silent, at least for now. Why would Trump, known for making bold moves, jump back into the heart of one of the world's most dangerous conflicts? What's really inside this deal? And most importantly, will Hamas accept it, or will they call it his bluff? Stay with me because tonight we uncover the latest updates from the war, the secret pressure happening behind closed doors, and the future that could be decided in just a few days. This is not just politics, it's a battle of survival, power, and maybe even betrayal. This is Denzel speaking, and welcome to the World of Intrigue. Do not forget to subscribe in the channel and hit the like button for more secrets to get revealed. Israeli strikes continue, destroying neighborhoods and pushing civilians to flee south. But even the so-called safe zones have been hit. Hospitals are barely working, with doctors treating patients without enough medicine or fuel. At the same time, Hamas continues to fire rockets into Israel, showing the world that it still has weapons and strength. Inside Gaza, not everyone supports Hamas anymore. Some people have started protest against them, saying the group's decisions have only brought more destruction. The death toll is shocking, tens of thousands of Palestinians killed and many more injured. For families, the war has turned life into a nightmare that feels endless, and yet in the middle of this destruction, a new political game begins. On September 29th, Donald Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announced a peace plan with 20 key points. The main promises: first, a ceasefire to stop the bombing; second, the release of hostages in exchange for prisoners; then a phased withdrawal of Israeli forces from Gaza; then Hamas giving up its weapons; and a new government in Gaza run by international support instead of armed groups; and last but not least, billions of dollars for rebuilding and humanitarian aid. Trump stood next to Netanyahu and calling it a historic deal. He said if Hamas refuses, Israel will have the full USA backing to continue the war. Netanyahu welcomed the plan, but with caution. He wants Israel to keep the right to act if things go wrong. And around the world, leaders reacted quickly. Some praised Trump's move, like Turkey's President Erdogan. Others, especially in Europe, warned that the deal does not talk enough about Palestinian statehood or the Westbank, but almost everyone agreed at least it's a start. And Hamas, they did not say yes, and they did not say no. They only said we're studying the proposal. And here's where it gets tricky. Hamas is not one group with one voice. Inside Hamas, there are deep divisions. When it comes to the political leaders, some based outside Gaza see value in the deal. They know Gaza cannot survive forever under siege. They might push for acceptance, but with changes. But the military wing of Hamas, they want to keep fighting. For them, giving up weapons means giving up their very identity. They see the deal as a surrender. Trump added pressure. He said Hamas has only a few days to respond. If they do not, Israel will act harder and the US will stand behind them. But is that a real deadline or just another political bluff to scare Hamas into saying yes? That part remains unclear. For now, Hamas is balancing between survival, pride, and the suffering of the people they claim to protect. If Hamas says yes, Gaza could begin a slow recovery. A neutral government might take charge. Aid would flow in, and the international peacekeepers could oversee security. For ordinary people, it could mean schools reopening, hospitals working again, and families living without constant fear. But there are problems. The deal does not clearly mention a Palestinian state. something millions have been demanding for decades. Israel also wants to keep some military power in the area, which Palestinians may reject, and many in Hamas may see disarmament as suicide. If Hamas says no, the war will only get worse. Netanyahu will claim he tried for peace. Trump will say Hamas rejected the best chance for Gaza. Then Israel may attack harder, and the world may be forced to choose sides. The next move could decide whether the Middle East enters a new stage of peace or falls into even deeper bloodshed. And here's the twist: away from politics, from deals, from leaders shaking hands, because behind all of this there are people, real people, families, children, the ones paying the price for every decision made in offices thousands of miles away. In Gaza, entire neighborhoods are no longer standing. What was once a street full of homes, shops, and laughter is now just rubble. A father walks through the ruins with his child's toy in his hand. He has no house, no job, no future, and only memories. More than 66,000 Palestinians have been killed since the start of this war. Most of them were civilians. Think about that number. It's like wiping out an entire small city. Every one of those numbers had a name, a story, a family. Hospitals are overrun. Doctors perform surgeries without anesthesia. Nurses use mobile phone lights because the power is gone. Mothers stand outside hospitals, crying, waiting for news about their children. Some receive their kids alive but broken. Others receive only silence. Food is running out. Clean water is almost gone. Children line up for hours holding plastic bottles, waiting for a new or few drops. For them, this is not politics. It's hunger, thirst, and fear. Even schools are destroyed. Kids who should be learning math and reading are instead learning how to survive. Their classrooms are now shelters. Their teachers are gone. Their notebooks replaced by the sound of airstrikes. But the suffering is not only in Gaza. In Israel, life has also changed. The memory of October 7th attacks is still fresh. Families who lost loved ones live with the trauma every single day. Survivors tell stories of hiding in closets, of hearing footsteps outside, of waiting for death. And then there are the hostages. Over 100 people still remain inside Gaza. Parents wake up every morning hoping that that day will be the day they hear their son or daughter is coming home. Some do not even know if their loved ones are alive. Imagine the torture of waiting day after day with no answer. Children in Israeli borders, towns, grown up knowing the sound of rockets, sirens better than the sound of school bells. At every moment, the alarm can ring, and they must run to shelters. For them, childhood means fear of the sky. And here's the truth: both sides are broken. In Gaza, children are buried under rubble. In Israel, children cry in bombed shelters. In Gaza, families search for food. In Israel, families search for hostages. The politicians talks about deals, about power, about who wins and who loses. But for ordinary people, nobody wins because both sides lose. And they lose every single day if the war continues. And this is why the Trump deals matter, not because of the headlines, not because of the politics, but because of the people. For the mother in Gaza who just wants her kids to sleep without bombs, and for the father in Israel who just wants his daughter to come home from captivity, for the children who just want to live a normal life no matter where they are. If the deal works, maybe Gaza can see water, food, medicine, and peace. Maybe Israeli families will see their hostages return. Maybe children will finally live a day without fear. But if it fails, the suffering will continue. The bombs will keep falling. The hostages will stay in the darkness. And more names will be added to the endless list of the dead. As we talk and as we look at the Trump deal and the war, we cannot ignore the bigger picture, because while Gaza is burning, Israel's eyes are not only in Gaza, they are also on the West Bank. For years, settlements have grown there, piece by piece, house by house. Land once belonging to Palestinians is now covered by walls, checkpoints, and expanding colonies. In Gaza, the war is used as a reason for security. In the West Bank, the excuse is protection. But in both places, the result is the same. Palestinians are pushed into smaller and smaller corners of their own homeland. And here's the truth that no deal can hide. Colonization will never bring peace. Taking land, building settlements, and forcing people from their homes will not stop the anger, will not stop the resistance, and will not stop the cycle of violence. You cannot build the peace on top of someone else's ruins. Israel may think it can control Gaza by force and the West Bank by settlements, but history tells us the opposite. Colonization always creates resistance. Occupation always fuels rebellion, and walls may block roads, but they cannot block the human spirit. If there's ever to be real peace in Palestine, in Israel, and in the Middle East, it will not come from bombs or colonies. It will not come from taking more land. It will only come when justice is given, when freedom is respected, and when Palestinians and Israeli can live as equals on the same land without one side ruling over the other. Until then, every deal, every plan, and every promise will remain fragile because peace is not built on domination. Peace is built on dignity, and dignity is something that no army, no wall, and no colonization can ever erase.